Hi there, I'm Christine Lee with Torrance Citi Cable, and today I'm giving you a virtual tour of the Torrance Art Museum's Gallery 2. And joining me is Hope Escura. It's so nice to see you.
Pleasure to have you.
I'm already excited being in this hallway. I mean, this art piece is amazing.
Yeah, this was actually installed last year, 2019. It's a site-specific piece made out of tape, actually. So it's
Tape?
That's electrical tape.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it sets the vibe as we go inside. What are we expecting to see today?
So actually, as you said, this sets the vibe really well. It's a lot of like pop, sort of low-brow art with this very great aesthetic that flows along the way with this.
And unfortunately, the public cannot come in right now, so we're giving them this virtual tour. Tell me about the artists that are being featured and what they're trying to accomplish through their artwork.
So we have two artists in the show. This is a two-man show, Music to My Eyes. We're featuring Rob Grad and also James Van Arsdale. They're two musicians and visual artists, and they're looking at music through their practice of art.
How unique. All right, let's go check it out.
So on this side, we have James Van Arsdale. He is looking at sort of pop imagery here. He wants to use a lot of kind of 70s and 60s motifs here in jeans and leather. And in this case, the imagery of kites and also the imagery of those jean jackets that people wore in the 60s. So he's trying to look at nostalgia, music, bands, memory, time, place, which I think it's also very poignant right now, where we're kind of unmoored in time right now to give us a sense of time. So we have over here two pieces by James Van Arsdale. They're mantras on guitar straps. So these are the straps that people have over their shoulders to hold their guitars. And he has placed on them almost Buddhist mantras to try to remind himself to be present, to be here, alive in the present moment. And the sound of now, he's trying to invite the viewer to be here, be now, and be present.
I think this message is so important, especially right now, right?
So very much so, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and what about this in the middle?
I love this one. So this one here, he was actually inspired by the Sedlic ossuary in Prague, where they have decorative bone remains. Here he used a roadie case that musicians would take and used it kind of like a tombstone and arranged the bones inside of it. And this is his invitation to think about the past and your place in it. And also he also brought in some of the like the 70s and 60s aesthetic with that kind of pop sort of aesthetic there. I guess we'll finish with James Van Arsdale's. This is his last piece. This is the one that probably has the most homage to that 60s, 70s vibe. He kind of goes back to old sci-fi TV shows here, kind of like old Star Trek, those styrofoam, surrealist backgrounds, and again, music and nostalgia, and he's trying to convey a sense of place and time and location and memory.
That's beautiful, and I love the sparks of color too, right? There's red, orange, and then, yeah, on the back, what is that supposed to represent?
So the title of this piece is the electro-explosive time machine to the 70s. And so that's the electro-explosive part of the...
It's transforming you back in time.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
So Rob's very interesting in the fact that he started out as a musician, and he was actually signed as, I think it was RCA that he was signed with. And so his work actually are travel photographs from his time as a musician layered on top of each other to create the sense of flow of rhythm. And so you can see these different places. Some of them are actually ink, but you can see these photographs that he took during his travels of while he was touring as a musician. He has lyrics and poetry included in this one. And he still has the photography of the travels and locations that he's seen. I really like this piece right here of the little outhouse in the middle of the woods. I like that as the focal point of this piece.
Yeah.
But again, you have this sort of fluidity of almost music, where he takes his previous career as a musician and he brings it over to his career as a visual artist, and that flow and that time. So this one's called Switching Lanes, and this is about his switch between being a musician and going into visual arts. And so this is switching lanes in his practice.
Out of curiosity, why did these musicians decide to pursue art?
So Rob, actually, he chose to pursue art because he had actually a falling out with his bandmates, and he was kind of at a crossroads, and I think he was in Paris, and he was seeing the aesthetic beauty of the city, and it inspired him to create artwork. And James, on the other hand, has been a visual artist and a musician for his entire professional career, so he does both interchangeably. So this one's Serenade. It's a night scene, and I like how it's got this sort of very elegant sweep of this serenade.
Is the shape supposed to be anything in particular?
I think it's just supposed to be evocative of music. It's supposed to be evocative of kind of the sound of a song.
Is that also part of a picture too?
Yeah, so you're looking at right here, there's water, and you have the reflections, and then there's the moonlight. And so it's like a nighttime serenade, somebody maybe playing some music by the water in the evening.
Wow, that's beautiful. Well, is there anything that you want viewers to take away from this experience?
I think that the big thing is to find peace, to be able to hold on to good memories, to look at the beauty of the world that we live in, and to be able to look at different things through different eyes. Like the way that these artists are able to look at music through visual art, to be able to take an open mind to the world around us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for showing me around, Hope.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you so much for watching at home. We'll see you next time. Hi there, I'm Christine with Torrance Citi Cable, and today we're checking out the Torrance Certified Farmers Market. During COVID-19, there is only one entrance, and remember to have your mask on when you enter. Come on.
The whole idea of this farmers market, this COVID-19 farmers market, is we are now an essential business. And so we're a grocery store.
The farmers market looks and feels a bit different during the pandemic.
We've installed a lot of changes. We set every single farmer 10 feet apart. We don't have the musicians people are used to. This is about 80,000 square feet. I think we added an additional 15,000 square feet, and that's just so we can keep social distancing and not crowd everyone together.
Roughly the same number of vendors now occupy a lot more space throughout Wilson Park.
It gives me more steps per day, which is my goal. I need my 10,000 steps, so that just helps me.
Reiner Auto is one of about 2,700 customers who are out here on this Tuesday to stock up on his produce.
I want to continue to support these vendors because I know everybody's suffering, and we love fruit and vegetables. They're very fresh here and good quality.
Shoppers like Otto are crucial to these vendors' survival.
It's our whole livelihood, like this is where we get everything from. We make connections, we sell good products to people appreciate us. It's like our family,
Cristo Silva says his dad's small business is actually seeing a slight increase in sales due to COVID-19.
Grocery stores were having issues keeping up with demand, so a lot more people turn to the farmers markets. Open air too, people feel more safe around here.
A few vendors down, Lydia Jaime says loyal supporters helped keep her farm in business when times got very difficult.
The customers got together and they started calling, and they're like, we need, is there any way we could all get together and we'll put in orders and we'll make boxes? And so our customers were great. They were a blessing, actually.
She appreciates every customer and says each purchase makes a big difference.
That's so much help. I mean, like I said, we would have had so much that would have gone to waste. Not only that, but we have employees we have to pay, we have land leases. The water bill is not cheap. Water is really expensive. So it kept us afloat, thank God.
The Torrent Certified Farmers Market is open Tuesdays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'm Christine Lee with Torrance Citi Cable. Hi, I'm Christine with Torrance Citi Cable, and today I want to introduce you to a Torrance mom who published her second book during COVID-19. She shares a timely message to stay strong and courageous during this pandemic.
Mama! Yes? What if I were a pirate?
Me too.
I know. I would get you a pirate ship.
Me too.
Best-selling author Eunice King is out with her second children's book in her Mama What If series.
It's about a brother and sister that become pirates to go on a really fun sea adventure.
The characters are modeled after her own kids, and in the sequel, they go on an extraordinary journey that teaches them about the importance of having faith.
They are met with a lot of different sea creatures along the way, like a giant squid, stinging jellyfish, and sneaky eels that try to trick them to get them to veer off course. But they're able to manage to fend off these sea creatures because of a magic hat that their mama gives them. The instructions that the mama told them was, whenever you face trouble, just put this magic hat on top of your head. And when they do, and it recites a Bible verse, it says,
Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9.
So whenever they put this on, they're inspired to have a good idea, or they're given wisdom to go the right way.
Why was it important for you to incorporate a Bible verse into your new book?
It was really important because there's a lot of positive books out there. And for me, I'm not looking for another positive book, actually. I want them to have these scriptures to guide them. And it's actually a Bible verse that my mom gifted me when I went to my first missions trip, month-long missions trips to India. And I was really scared of going. And during that time, it gave me a tremendous amount of strength and courage and to not be afraid, because I knew deep in my heart that God was with me. And so that's why I wrote this book.
Although this may be a children's book, its message is just as relevant to grown-ups.
We have to swim the rest of the way there.
As she reads her own words out aloud, Eunice is reminding herself to stay strong too, especially during this coronavirus pandemic.
My husband, he's an urgent care doctor, so he's actually working the front lines of treating patients with COVID and, pivoting to becoming a homeschool mom, and just like the joys and the stresses of being with your kids like 24/7. Like the mama bear came out of me, like I had to protect my family from not having enough, food or basic toiletries. Like it was really scary for me. But deep in my heart, even though there are moments of uncertainty and moments of maybe doubt and where I feel scared, I just know that God is with me and God is with us. And so even with COVID and the uncertainty and the unprecedented times that we're living in, we can be strong and we can be courageous and not be afraid during these times.
In Book 2, The Pirate Treasure, Eunice teams up again with illustrator Jane Yu, who's expecting to become a mama herself.
It's so funny, like we anticipate the coming of her baby, and so it actually says she loves spending quality time with her husband and son. I'm really excited that now that she's going to become a mom too, that this first book can be sort of dedicated to her son too. It's a product that she was made since the baby was inside her, illustrating the book with her. So I think it'll be really special for them.
Jane says she welcomed the challenges of creating a new character.
It was just a lot of fun figuring out what the sister would look like and figuring out what the pirate outfits would look like.
And adding more splashes of color to help tell the story.
There's more of a watercolor texture in the background. So there's bold colors for the ocean, like purples and greens and deep blues. And we played around with creating colors for the sunset and sea animals. All the illustrations were done on my iPad before transferring the files to a computer. And I really just had so much fun working on this book, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to illustrate another book and work on this project with Eunice.
Just her interpretation of how she made the waves and how she made God look like it's part of the waves and part of the ocean. She's such an important part of making this book truly come alive.
What are your biggest hopes for this book?
My biggest hope for this book is that young kids, they'll treasure this Bible verse deep in their heart, that during the hardships and challenges and scary times that they may face, not only in their childhood, but throughout their adult years, that they have this wonderful Bible verse that can give them a tremendous amount of strength and courage and peace during hard times.
If you'd like to pick up a copy, you can go to mightyfortresspress.com. And remember that Mama What If is a book series, and Una says there may already be a third book in the works featuring another Bible verse. In Torrance, I'm Christine Lee. Hi there, I'm Christine with Torrance Citi CABLE, and today I am out here at Smog City Brewing with Lori Porter, one of the owners here. We got together a few weeks ago and I created a story that I wanted you to watch.
May would have been our 9-year anniversary at Smog. Last 2 years we've had these giant events out in our parking lot, and we invite all of our customers in and we have a big celebration, and this year we did it on Zoom.
Adjusting to new norms has been the story of Lori Porter's life since the coronavirus pandemic threatened to shut down her family business.
I keep joking that craft beer is clearly essential because people continue to buy it, but really the truth is that customers are really invested in small businesses and companies that they're loyal and love.
When the stay-at-home mandate began, Lori said she had to take a step back and reassess how to move forward.
We took it down to bare bones. We canceled every subscription. We canceled every expense that we could not have. We took all of our employees, and they were either absolutely essential to continue or we had to furlough them for a short term.
Determined to transform every obstacle into an opportunity, she and her team started to think outside the box. For example,
we got a phone call from our distributor saying, hey, we've got all these kegs that we purchased in the 2 or 3 weeks before the safer at home mandate, and there's no bars and restaurants. So now you're going to have to buy back oodles, hundreds and hundreds of kegs from us. And we started doing the numbers. We're like, this is insane. We can't after what we have taken, the hit we've taken over COVID, we can't now double down on this debt from our distributor.
Still, she says they bought back some of the beer, started a Save Our Beer campaign, and even hand-delivered them to their customers for the first time.
We always thought it would be fun to deliver beer, and seeing the smiles on the customers' faces made it so amazing.
Another problem they faced was having to rebrand beers that were already slated for release.
And when my husband told me that Daily Breeze was ready to release on the Wednesday after the Safer at Home mandate, I was like, that is the worst name. Nobody wants to see a beer called Daily Breeze in the middle of the scariest pandemic in the history of all of us. And so we instantly changed it to Quarantine Machine, and it took off.
Now Lori says they're introducing a series of 5 COVID-19 inspired beers, each one getting stronger than the last, all wearing a mask, pairing well with uncertainty, and best enjoyed 6 feet apart.
You know, the first month and a half, it was really unstable. There was a lot of insecurity and fear. You're going back and forth trying to figure out how to either save your company or whether you're going to close or whether regulations are going to change. But in that time, we also found and sort of dug really deep into our skill set of survival instincts and found an amazing strength in our company to be able to pivot it to new opportunities and new outlets very quickly to survive and then sort of to come out in an equilibrium.
Learning to roll with the punches allowed Smog City to rehire most of its employees.
Toby here is actually transferring one of my favorite sour browns into Benny, which is this big, beautiful barrel. We call the beer Benny and the Bretts. But yeah, so I think we had 28 employees before COVID. All of them but 2 have come back, and we're actually looking at hiring employees.
As the world continues to reopen, Lori says they're actually planning to expand beyond their 3 existing locations.
We have a 4th tap room that's been in the works for 2 years. It was supposed to open in June, and of course with COVID everything slowed down, but now the developers say they're going to be opening as soon as possible. So that one is Glendora Public Market. It's in Glendora out the 210. It's going to be such a beautiful space. It's an old historic Wonder Bread facility. I think our licensed space where you can actually drink our beer is about 5,000 square feet. So it's enormous. It's got indoor and outdoor. There's going to be food vendors throughout the marketplace that you can get food from. I'm excited about it, but it's also scary because moving into a whole nother business in the middle of this is daunting. Welcome home, Mama and Papa. When you had done so much work, just sit down here and have a beer. And then there's an arrow saying, beer!
Lori and her husband prioritize their son as they work together during this pandemic and hope they can teach him a valuable lesson.
I think it's inspiring for him to see what we've done and how we work. We always joke that he's the 3rd board member because he's always in the middle of all the conversations, and he actually has a lot of opinions. So I think it's a dynamic and rich life that he's living. I focus on him a lot. I take him to school in the morning, I go to work, I pick him up from school in the afternoon. Now I'm with him all day, and so I really prioritize family. I prioritize him as the next generation, that if I fail him, then what's the point of doing well with Smog? So it's challenging. You know, I always love those, I love the memes where it's just like moms just can't be perfect in everything. You're going to fail at all of it. But at least we're working really hard and trying, and we're filled with love, and we love our business and our jobs and our family. So.
Lori says she's excited to welcome back Smog City fans as tap rooms reopen.
Tap rooms will look different. We're going to be expanding our licensed premises here into the parking lot. There'll be more outdoor patio space, open air space to give us room for customers to have separation, but also have the open air with plenty of circulation.
She hopes their beers have helped them to stay afloat during these hard times.
I told my husband on the first week, I said, what would be most important to me through the next who knows how long, we thought it would be a month or two, was for our customers to have had smog with them during the pandemic, so that we were part of the positive side of it, that they thought back and said like, oh yeah, we had those happy hours with saber-tooth squirrel or coffee porter got me through my evenings. Now that we've spent 3 months apart, it's going to be even more important to find connectivity and to come back together.
Lori sent me home with a few of her favorite beers. This one is called White Peach Saison. It is actually made with farmers market peaches. Isn't that cool? This is coffee porter. It's her absolute favorite. And then I love the artwork on these. It's called From LA with Love. And I think it pretty much summarizes why I love craft breweries so much, especially during a time like this. It reminds me that I'm a part of this beautiful LA community, especially during the moments that I'm feeling isolated or lonely because of COVID-19. Well, Lori, since we filmed that story together, so much has changed, as things typically do these days with this pandemic.
Yeah, it feels like our business changes by the hour at this point. You know, we're constantly adjusting and adapting to the situations that are coming down from the state and county. Right after you and I met, we were able to open our tap room for a blessed 2 weeks, and it was amazing. We had a 4,000 square foot outdoor patio seating area with food vendors that showed up every day, and it was a really wonderful and invigorating time. And then unfortunately, as you know, we came up on the rollbacks, and so breweries in LA County are actually not allowed to partner with caterers or third-party vendors like a food truck anymore. Unless you have your own kitchen on site, you can't be open. So we've had to roll back to go sales and home delivery, and adjusting back to the old ways.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about this reality of overcoming yet another obstacle, because you know we talked about so many ways you guys got creative during these difficult times. I mean, how's that momentum right now?
It's hard to get momentum. It's really difficult because we're, you know, when we in the beginning it was just go, reinvent, and then we got to the reopening phase, and we're like, okay, this is the new situation. We hired back all of our employees, we did all of our protocols, everything, you know, was a lot of complicated situations that happened, but we got up and running, and then we're almost immediately returned to pre-opening situation with the to-go. And unfortunately for us, you know, fortunately for restaurants, but for us, restaurants are allowed to be open. And so we've not seen the bounce back of revenue that we were hoping. We haven't been able to return to that pre-reopening situation that we were in. So we're trying to be creative again. We're looking at ways to make our virtual marketplace more attractive, more educational, more engaging. We're working with our state and county associations to try and talk to the Board of Supervisors and LA County Health to figure out exactly why we have these limitations on our specific industry. So, you know, we're kind of at this point pivoting a little bit away from trying to be creative in our business and more pivoting towards trying to really understand what the regulations mean for us, how long they're going to last, and what we can do as we move forward.
And you said you have a lot of loyal customers that call on a daily basis?
All the time. Our staff is so fed up with it because they have to say no. So we get calls all day, every day, asking if they can drink on site. And of course, as soon as we say no, they go somewhere else. So it's difficult on our staff especially, because I think that they thrive on the community and the customer interaction. They really thrive on having a relationship with the customers that come in and our fans, and it's just been real tough.
And I mean, this is just one example of one brewery, but Torrance is known for having a lot of local craft breweries, and so it's affecting all of them, right?
Yeah, I think we have a small handful, 1 or 2, that are allowed to be open because they have kitchens on site and a health department permit for that location. But all the rest are closed down. So, and back to go. Not technically closed, but they're selling to go and doing home delivery.
What is the one thing that you want viewers to take away from watching your story?
I think just, the same conversation we have all the time, even pre-COVID, which is support local, support small businesses. We're part of the community. We live here, we work here, we send our kids to school here, our employees come from here. We're an indelible part of Torrance, and we really hope that our customers will continue to show up and buy beer and take advantage of our home delivery options so that we can continue to make beer in Torrance and sort of weather the storm, as they say, and come out on the other side stronger.
Well, thank you, Lori, so much for spending a few minutes with me today.
Absolutely, Christine. Thank you for coming back and seeing me and checking in.
Definitely, and thank you so much for watching at home. We'll see you again soon.